for Friday, April 10th. We're doing lesson 13 in your packet, which is pages 11 and 12. So we're only going to do one again today, just because this lesson didn't really blend well with the next one. So we'll start doing a little bit more work starting on Tuesday next week, which is when we start e-learning again. Again, we do not have it on Monday. It's just Tuesday through Thursday. So today we're going to be looking at context clues, which is probably something that a lot of you guys are familiar with and you've used before. We're just going to look at the different types of context clues. Everything I have on the board is also on your chart. That's at the top of the page. So right up here where it says introduction, everything we're going over up here is on there. So you can follow along from there. So one of the things is why do we use context clues? So sometimes we might not know the meaning of a word. And I know you guys are thinking, oh, I always have my phone, I can just look it up. Well, on ISEP and things like that, you don't have a dictionary. So you just have to try to figure it out. And there's times in life where you're not going to be able to have a dictionary with you. It's just important to be able to use other clues to be able to tell what a word means. So if we look at the chart here, there's 4 different types of context clues that we're looking at. So the first one is definition, then example, then comparison, then contrast. So these are 4 different ways that we can find out what a word means without just looking it up. By looking at everything around it, we can find out what a word means. So for definition, for all of them, there's some signal words that will let us know that it's about to tell us what it means in an indirect way. So the first one is more the most direct way that they're going to tell us, because it's just telling us the definition of the word. So some of those signal words would be is, or, which is, or means. So in the example on your chart, it says the land pulls in opposite ways across a fault, which the word that we're defining there is fault, which is a crack in the Earth's crust. So if we're trying to figure out what the word fault means, it says right after fault, which is a crack in the Earth's crust. So it's literally telling us that a fault is a crack in the Earth's crust. This is the most direct way that you can use context clues, because it's literally giving you the definition. It's saying this is what that means. So the rest are more indirect, but this one is just giving you the actual definition. So the next context clue type is example. So the signal words for example are for example, for instance, or such as. So the word we're looking at in this example is geoscientists. So it says geoscientists such as geologists and seismologists study earthquakes. Okay? So we might not know what a geoscientist is, but most of us know what a geologist is and a seismologist is. Those are types of scientists, right? And then it goes even further to tell us that a geoscientist studies earthquakes. So we know that it's a type of scientist based on the fact that it says such as geologists and seismologists. And we know that that type of scientist studies earthquakes. So geoscientist is a type of scientist that studies earthquakes. The next type of context clue is comparison. So that's going to compare the word to something else to help us to understand what it means. Okay? So comparison, it says like, similar, also, and as well. So here we see the word seismic is the word we're looking at. It says like a large earthquake, smaller seismic events may also be destructive. So we know that a seismic event is similar to a large earthquake. So we can tell that it's obviously smaller because it says smaller seismic event, but it's similar to an earthquake. So a seismic event is in some way like an earthquake. So it probably shakes the earth, that type of thing. It's just smaller than an earthquake, and we know that it's also destructive. So the last one is contrast, which is just the opposite of comparison. It uses, it contrasts the word to something else to help us understand how it's the opposite. So the signal words for contrast are but, or, yet, in spite of, however, although, and then there's one more on your sheet, which is whereas. So our example here, we're trying to define the word chaos. So it says, in spite of the chaos chaos caused by the earthquake, order is eventually restored. So if we know that order is eventually restored, we know that that would be the opposite of chaos. So having order and being all put together is the opposite of what chaos means. Therefore, we can determine that chaos has something to do with everything being kind of crazy and not orderly and all that kind of stuff. So if you look at the bottom of the chart here, I didn't really have any room to put it up on the board, but it says the word's position and function in a sentence can also be a clue to its meaning. What do we think the meaning of geometrogamy is in this sentence? It says scientists measure the geometrogamy of earthquakes. So if we look at that sentence, scientists measure the geometrometry of earthquakes. You'll understand why I'm not pronouncing this correctly in a second. Sorry about that, I just had to write this up here. So it says scientists measure the geometrogamy of earthquakes. So the position in the sentence helps us to determine the meaning of the sentence. So we know that it says scientists measure the geometrogamy of earthquakes. So when it says the word the, we can tell that this is not a verb. Geometrogamy is not an action. It's something that the scientists can measure. So it's an item or an idea or something like that. So we can tell that it's a thing, and if we just look at the words around it, like if we look at the word measure, we can tell that it's a measurable item. So it's probably has something to do with numbers, something like that. Can we tell exactly what it means? No, but we have a better idea than if we erased everything around it. Now give me an idea of what that word means. We have no idea because it's just on its own. So sometimes context clues don't give us the exact definition of something, but it's going to help us better understand at least the general idea of what it is. So now we're going to do the guided practice together just like we did yesterday. That's what we're going to do every single time there's guided practice. And then you guys are going to do the individual practice on your own. So we're going to take a look at that right now. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at this guided practice at the bottom of page 11. So if we look here, it says underline the context clue that can help you figure out the meaning of each underlined word or phrase. Write the meaning on a separate piece of paper. So you guys can do it on, if your guys' isn't front to back, it probably is. You can do it on the back. If not, grab a lined sheet of paper, or you can just fit it in somewhere like right here. Whatever works best for you. I'm going to pull out a separate sheet of paper here. Okay, so underline the context clue that can help you figure out the meaning of each underlined word or phrase, and then we're writing the meaning on a separate sheet of paper, or however we decide works best for us. So let's look at our hint first. It says a context clue is often in the same sentence as the unfamiliar word. The clue may also be in a sentence that comes before or after the sentence that includes the difficult word. So it's saying most of the time the context clue that's going to help us understand is in the same sentence, but sometimes it can be in the sentence that comes before or after. So let's take a look here. It says before they strike land, tornadoes, we're going to read through the whole thing first, and then we will, we're going to read through the whole thing first, and then we'll go back and look at each word together. So it says, before they strike land, tornadoes can often be detected by Doppler radar, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. A tornado begins when a wind system forms a huge vortex. This formation is similar to water swirling towards a drain. This condition may trigger multiple tornadoes, which may occur simultaneously or one after the other. Whereas many regions are fairly safe from tornadoes, others are susceptible to them. Communities in tornado-prone areas try to mitigate their risk. For instance, they establish public warning systems. So, before they strike land, tornadoes can often be detected by a Doppler radar, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. So when we're finding these definitions, we just need to remember that we don't have to have the exact definition. We just need to understand a general idea of what it is. So if we look up here, let's remember our keywords. So we could look at is, or, which is, means. All of those keywords are going to help us, but it's not always going to have those keywords. So if we look at that sentence, I think the one we're looking at here, it has the context clues within the same sentence. So before they strike land, tornadoes can often be detected by Doppler radar, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. Well, I think here we're just looking at it giving us the straight up definition. So let's go ahead and underline this. This is what tells us what Doppler radar means. So what is Doppler radar? It's an electronic system that measures wind speeds. Okay, so on that separate sheet of paper or on the back of the page, whatever you need to do, if you do it on a separate sheet of paper, make sure that you staple the separate sheet of paper into your packet or stick it in there somehow so that way you can get credit for doing that. So let's go ahead and write Doppler radar and what is a Doppler radar? Well, an electronic system that measures wind speeds. So that's number one. So let's keep reading. It says a tornado begins when a wind system forms a huge vortex. This formation is similar to water swirling toward a drain. Okay, so we know that the word we're looking at is vortex. Let's look at those two sentences together. So it says a tornado begins when a wind system forms a huge vortex. This formation is similar to water swirling toward a drain. Well, if we refer back to our chart, I think the type we're looking at is comparison because we see the word similar being used. So it says this formation is similar to water swirling toward a drain. So a vortex is the formation or the shape of the tornado, right? So we would put 2 is vortex. And what is a vortex? It is the swirling formation of a tornado. We don't have to get too complicated with this. We're just going off what the context gives us. So I think what we're looking at here, vortex similar to water swirling toward a drain. Okay. This condition may trigger multiple tornadoes, which may occur simultaneously or one after the other. Let's refer back to our signal words again. So if we look at definition, it says or. So let's take a look at that here. So it says which may occur simultaneously or one after the other. So here again, just like number 1, it's just giving us the definition directly. So we know that the word simultaneously, that's a tough one to spell. Means one after the other. So it's back to back. And you can phrase that in your own words. It just means that it's happening back to back over and over again. So let's move on. Whereas many regions are fairly safe from tornadoes, others are susceptible to them. So again, if we refer back to up here, we see that word whereas under the contrast right here. So we can determine that we are contrasting something to the word susceptible. So it would say that many regions are fairly safe from tornadoes, other regions are susceptible to them. So what would be the opposite of fairly safe? Well, it would be that they are more likely to have them, right? They're at risk for tornadoes. So we're going to look at fairly safe, and whereas are our keywords there. And then we then know that the word susceptible means basically at risk. They are at risk for more tornadoes to happen to them than other places. So let's look at our last two sentences. It says, communities in tornado-prone areas try to mitigate the risk. For instance, they establish public warning systems. So if we look at, for instance, we see that in our example section. We see, for example, for instance, such as. So if we're looking at, for instance, let's look at that second sentence. We're trying to find the definition of mitigate. For instance, they establish public warning systems. Well, what do public warning systems do? Well, they help people to be more prepared when an earthquake is about to happen, right? So it's going to lower their risk, okay? So we know that mitigate means to lessen the risk or prevent something. Okay? No. Sorry. So we know that mitigate means that they are trying to prevent something, and we can tell that where they tell us about the public warning systems. So now that you guys have done this, I want you guys to take a look at page 12, and you guys are going to do that on your own. Next week, probably at the end of next week, we will go over these together. I want to give you guys some time to get them done on your own because it's important that you do some independent work. So, please make sure again that if you did this on a scrap sheet of paper, that you put it into your packet. You can just put it in there like so, and just staple it in there. That way we don't lose it and we can get all your work and get you counted off as doing it. So remember that today I have office hours. It's Friday the 10th. I have office hours today from 11 to 2. You can hop on Zoom. If everybody wants to meet up on Zoom, that's completely fine. Even if you don't have any questions, you just want to meet up with everybody, that's okay. And you can call my Google Voice number or text my Google Voice number if you guys have any questions. And then remember that we do not start back up on Monday. There won't be another video until Tuesday. So every week after this week, we're looking at Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So hopefully I'll be able to talk to you guys in office hours today, and have a good weekend.